Hi guys, thanks for checking out the channel. In today's video we're installing the plumbing for an outside kitchen. Okay, so it's not every day that we get to plumb in an outside kitchen, and as you can see this one is quite extraordinary. We've got a barbecue here, pizza oven on the left, a fridge and a dishwasher. So we are going to be installing a Quooker tap and an Ariston water heater. Now the customer didn't want any delay in the hot water from the tap, so they've gone for the Ariston water heater, but they also wanted instant boiling hot water. So it's not usually common to fit two of these side by side. You'd probably have one or the other, but obviously in this circumstance we want the best of both worlds. So like I said, incredibly lucky to be working on this one. Beautiful view, and should be okay. It is incredibly tight in here, so Bailey's just getting his first fix all set up, just planning his pipe work routes. We've got an MDPE pipe just comes in the corner underneath these units, and also a soil pipe. So everything here is in location. It's just a case of trying to fit it all in a small unit. Okay, so while Bailey's getting the first fix plumbing in, I'll just run you through some of the components we're going to be installing. So this is the hot water tank for an instantaneous hot water tap. It's a brand called Quooker, and they mainly manufacture instantaneous hot water taps. Now this model here is the Pro 3 and it's paired with the Fusion tap. So this is actually probably the most basic model you can get. It's only instantaneous hot water. It doesn't offer filtered cold water or sparkling water. Now they're quite easy to install, I would say. You've got your braided flexible hose that comes off, and then you have like an isolation valve and almost like flow reducing valve on there. So I'll show you how that's set up in a minute. These tanks are quite slimline. I think this is a Pro 3 version. You do, however, if you have a shelf or drawers, you will have to remove them to make space, unless you can set that back further in the kitchen unit itself. Now, it usually comes with a kit, so you have this and also the tap. So up here is the actual tap itself. I'd say this is probably the most common Quooker tap that I see. You can get some that look a bit more traditional, but this is your more modern setup. So yeah, just your lever on the side, and then when you want your instantaneous hot water, you just click that down twice and then spin that. There is a red LED that will glows up once it's all plugged in, which I'll show you a bit later on. So moving on from that, we've just got an Ariston water heater here. Now you can pick these up, usually from Screwfix they come. So the customer's actually provided this one, but he has accidentally thrown away the accessory. So we're just trying to make up what's required. So we just picked up some bits from the plumbing merchant. So from this here, we need like an expansion vessel, pressure relief valve, and also our non-return valves and everything. So that's why it's quite difficult to get everything in this small cupboard. So as you can see, Bailey's just making a start on it now. Now I must admit, these are incredibly reliable, I would say. I've put a few of these in probably about 4 or 5 years ago. They're still going strong. So obviously I've never actually put one that's quite exposed to the outside elements as this, but hopefully it should be okay. There is obviously going to be a door on this and a watertight seal, I'm told, so should all be absolutely fine. So yeah, let's get the rest of the pipe work in and get these all up and running. Okay, so on the underside of this Quooker, coming out the bottom of this Quooker Fusion tap, we have got 3 flexible hoses. Now you've got one that connects directly onto the hot water tank itself, and then you've got your standard hot and cold feeds. Now it's worth mentioning that these are 3/8, so you'll need to pick up yourself some 3/8 to 1/2 inch or 3/8 to 15mm reducers. Okay, moving on to the Ariston water heater. Now I must admit, usually when I plumb these in or I install them on site, they actually come pre-wired, but this one hasn't come pre-wired. So what you need to do is you need to remove this panel. So we've pulled off the main button in the middle, that just pops off, and then you can literally just pull that off like that. Now inside here you've got pretty much something that resembles an immersion heater that you'd find on an unvented cylinder. So this is just your element, and then on the right hand side here there's a little bit of orange trunking. So if you flip this over, on the back here, there's a hole on the bottom left hand side, or it'd be on your right if you're facing it from the front. So I'm just going to feed some cable through. So to be honest with you, there is an electrician coming to get this all wired in. We're just going to get it jigged up temporarily so we can show you it in operation. So once you've fed that through, that will just pop out there of that orange trunking, and then you can get it wired up to your live, neutral and earth on the element. Okay, so as you can see, we've got our soil pipe and our MDPE cold water main coming up on the right hand side in the corner of this kitchen unit. So I've just put a bung into the top of that. I'm not going to lie, that was a bit of a pain. It's right far back in the corner, just about could reach it. There is a very small hole there, just where the brickwork's a bit incomplete, but wasn't much help to us. So anyway, the MDPE pipe is sitting right above it, but it's okay now, we have got the bung in. So just need to run this waste pipe along this wall here and pop it up into the sink unit. Okay, so we are all up and running. Now we have just temporarily wired this into an extension lead just so we can show you it all operational. Now the Quooker does come pre-wired, so you literally just plug it straight in. The on and off button is on the top here. It's actually like the shape of the Q. So I've had it before, I couldn't figure out how to turn it on. You literally just tap it and then that light turns on. So when you first turn this on, and also the Ariston water heater, it's obviously going to take a little bit of time to heat up. So just bear that in mind. So I'll just try and show you what Bailey has done in here. But basically we started off with a pressure reducing valve. Now you should really get one with the Ariston heater, but unfortunately I think the customer accidentally threw some of the bits away when it got delivered. So yeah, regarding the Quooker tap, so once this is reached temperature, this little red light here usually turns off. So when it's heating up, that light stays on, and then when it's reached temperature, it turns off. Now to use the boiling hot water tap, you have this ring up here on top of the tap itself. Now what you need to do is you just tap it down twice and then spin it, and then you will get your boiling hot water. So the flow rate, I must admit, isn't great on it. It does spit and splutter a bit, but obviously it's perfectly fine for doing your hot cups of tea, or if you want to do your washing up with boiling hot water. And then just to turn it off, just push it back down and then let it spring back up on itself. So this is fairly straightforward the way that operates. Just got your hot and cold, etc. Turn it up for operational and then down for off again. Now the Ariston water heater, we've only had it on for about 10 minutes, but it already is nice and hot. So this stores, can't remember what size this is actually, but this stores hot water inside of it. So it's nice and fast. You don't have that big delay like you would do if you're running it off your cylinder or combi boiler. Now a few of the other things under here, we've got the PRV going into our ton dish with trap, or like built-in sort of trap inside of it. That just stops the smells coming through. That goes straight into the waste. Got our non-return valves everywhere, isolation valves. So yeah, it's all you know, it's all up to standards. The customer can isolate anything if needed. We have just plumbed the dishwasher straight into the trap here. So yeah, we're just going to give everything a good test. Now when you first fire up these Quookers, you do get quite a lot of black sludge and debris coming out of the tap, but don't worry about that, that's perfectly normal. So just run it out for a good couple of minutes, kind of flush it through. Same with the Ariston, you need to sort of run it out, flush it through. Once that's all done, you're perfectly fine to use it in normal operation. Okay, moving swiftly on, we've moved on to an underfloor heating breakdown. Now, this is a friend of mine's house. They had a garage conversion done a few years back, had an underfloor heating system installed throughout a wet room, and which is a new office area. There's two stats, so we've got two loops on this particular system, and the problem is both the rooms or both the zones are coming on at the same time, so it doesn't matter if one stat's down, they're actually all coming on all together. Now, they have had another engineer look at this, couldn't figure it out, so we're going to jump up now to the underfloor heating manifold, which is unusually housed up in the loft area, and we'll take a look. Okay, so we jumped up in the loft space now, and this is unfortunately what we have come into contact with. Now, it isn't a great example of an underfloor heating system, I would say. It's very overcomplicated for two zones. So when we've arrived, we found that both the actuators are actually off. Now, I mean, that immediately makes you think, oh, it's an easy fix, the actuators have just been left off, so both zones are operating because of that. But actually, that's not the case. So when we had the actuators on and kind of powered up from the stats, they're not actually opening up. So we are getting 24 volts off of this Uponor PCB, but the issue we've got is we're under the impression that the actuators are actually 240 volt actuators, not 24 volts, so they're not actually doing anything. So we kind of proved that by hard wiring them into 240 volts live and neutral, and they are actually opening up fine. So we're pretty sure that's what the problem is. So we think there must have been a couple of engineers coming in and out of this job, tinkering around with it, and bits and parts have been swapped over, but we're pretty sure that's what's happening. Once we've got it all operational with the actuators, we can get the thermal imaging camera out, and we can just make sure that we've got the actuators on the right zones, because at the moment they're not labelled up at all. Okay, so we've just returned from Robin Systems. They had the actuators ready and waiting for us, which was great service. So yeah, the problem was these actuators are just the wrong voltage, so we just picked up the 24 volt ones, and Bailey's just going to get that wired into the Uponor wiring centre. So we've just found out why it's a bit of a mix match of a system. So the client's friend was actually an Uponor engineer, and that's why we've got this wiring centre paired with a different branded manufacturer of manifolds. So that's why it is also a bit overcomplicated, I think. So I'd imagine that has just come off the back of the van. So that is normally seen in larger properties with a lot more underfloor heating zones. So anyway, we're going to get those swapped out. So while Bailey's doing that, I'm just going to show you this gadget that we've got just to help us identify any faults and make sure the underfloor heating system's working okay. So this here is that Topdon TC View thermal imaging camera. So this will just plug straight into the bottom of any smart device, so computer, tablet. I'm going to plug it into my phone. Now what this does is it uses your own mobile phone screen, so you can obviously see the thermal image, and it's very handy for underfloor heating systems. So had an instance a little while ago where the customer was pretty upset. They thought the underfloor heating system wasn't working, but actually we turned up with a thermal imaging camera and it was working absolutely fine. They just wasn't used to how that type of system works. So for that sort of thing, it's brilliant. It's also great for finding water leaks on the system, and just anything like that really. Any air gaps, any problems with insulation, water leaks, underfloor heating is primarily what I'll use it for. So anyway, let's get this plugged into the phone and we can just make sure we've got these actuators round the right way on the manifold. Okay, so we've now got the system operational. I've attached the Topdon to my phone and we are just checking it for correct operation. So as you can see here on the left hand side, the actuator has risen just to indicate that it is now open and we've got flow going through it. So you can see here through the camera the temperature going through the pipework itself. So it's very clear on this thermal imaging camera. It's really accurate, I would say. Now this is quite an unusual system. We've got the pump on the right hand side, so it was a little bit confusing at first. So we've actually got the flow coming through here from the boiler, going through what I would call the return manifold, up through the pump and then down the flow meter. side where the flow pipes are, so we'll scratch my head with it a little bit, but we've now got it operational. We've just checked to make sure that we've got the actuators on the right side as well, so we can go downstairs now and just check the circuits in the floor. So we're just checking out the zone now that we've got the actuator operational on, and as you can see through the thermal imaging camera, the pipe's getting nice and hot. It's very, very clear where the pipes all are. They've done a good job there, look, going around the wet room trap. So yeah, it's extremely handy, especially for fault finding. If you had a water leak, it would be great. Oh look, cold spot there. So yeah, that's cool. Now if we just move over into the other zone where we've got the actuator turned off, you can see the temperature is a lot cooler, and you can just about work out where the pipes are, where it had been running before we come, but it's nowhere near as clear as in here. So yeah, we've got some really good hot spots in here. You can work out quite clearly where the pipes are. So yeah, let's get this other side on, and then we can make sure that's all operational too.